The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. Our time now is 5:02, and we begin this morning with education news and the ongoing battle happening inside local school board meetings.
Parents in the Panama Buena Vista Union School District making their frustrations heard once again last night over the state's impending vaccine mandate for students.
As a tax-paying citizen in this district, my son won't have a school to go to if the vaccine is required. He's not getting a vaccine, and what are our choices? What are we supposed to do? Sorry for my poor speaking skills. Thank you.
Parents clearly emotional as they ask board members to consider providing an alternative to getting the COVID-19 vaccine. According to the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, the COVID vaccine mandate is a public health state regulation, meaning a school district would not have a choice to unfollow it. The mandate is anticipated to go into effect for students in 7th through 12th grades starting next year.
And this all comes as an FDA panel yesterday voted to approve Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids as young as 5. Next, it goes to the full FDA. And we'll have more on that decision, plus reaction from a local pediatrician coming up later this morning. Meantime, the Panama Buena Vista School Board last night motioned to expel 2 students who made threats toward other students and staff on social media. You may remember earlier this month when police arrested a 14-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy in connection with threats made against Thompson Junior High School and Tevis Junior High. Police later found the threats not credible. While the board motioned to expel the students, the issue was discussed in closed session and no other information was available.
Meantime, the Board of Supervisors met yesterday to take public comment on preliminary maps ahead of next month's hearing on redistricting. It is deja vu for residents who recall a 2016 lawsuit filed by the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund, claiming old district boundaries drawn in 2011 deprived Latino residents of their voting rights by diluting their populations throughout multiple districts. The support was divided, some claiming district lines aren't broken, therefore there's no need to redraw them. Regardless, the supervisors have various options as how to redraw.
Being aware of additional ways to make the map even more equitable presented itself in the last couple weeks. It was a very cool example of exactly how this process should work, where you're taking really high quality data and local knowledge and combining the two to really come up with a great map.
The main issue really is an issue called racially polarized voting. What the evidence showed was that, not to be crude, Latinos will vote for a white elected. Like in Zach's first race, the opposite, which is white people, Caucasians, voting for Latinos, does not happen.
South H and 99.
There was some confusion about whether Tehachapi would be pushed out of Kern County and into LA County, but that will not be happening with this redraw.
5:06 is your time now in your 17 Health Watch. Nurses, teachers, labor leaders, and elected officials came together yesterday over a new report that states certain pesticides used extensively in Kern and Ventura counties pose a significant cancer risk to children. 2 UCLA studies found that 11 out of 13 pesticides in regular use in our county have been linked to early childhood cancers. The most at risk, children whose mothers lived within 2.5 miles of pesticide application while pregnant.
This is an important issue because we've been fighting for this specific issue on the right to know, especially because there's been exposures all through the valley, and especially because our communities are being affected and they're in zero on what kind of chemicals are being applied in the agriculture industry.
The Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment says more than 28 countries have banned or not approved 10 of the 13 pesticides studied. And current California regulations are currently insufficient, they say. It also says that the most at-risk group from pesticides in Kern County is the Latino community.
In your 17 Core Watch this morning, 2 men who were pulled over with a body in their front passenger seat are scheduled to be sentenced for murder today. This happened on a foggy morning back in January 2018. Court documents say a CHP officer pulled over the driver of an SUV for speeding on Highway 65. When officers looked in the passenger seat, they saw a dead man. He was later identified as a man from North Hollywood. The coroner says he had been strangled. Prosecutors allege Adam Barnes and Manpreet Sindhu killed the man to collect his life insurance. Both Barnes and Sindhu face 25 years to life in prison.
A former Kern County Detention's deputy pleaded no contest yesterday to engaging in sex acts with multiple inmates at Lerdo Jail. Brandon Lawrence made an open plea where a defendant pleads to all counts in the hopes the judge gives him a lesser penalty than what prosecutors recommend. Court filings say Lawrence claims the encounters weren't consensual, but it's illegal for an officer working in a detention facility to engage in a sex act with an inmate under any circumstance. He's due in court for sentencing November 23rd.
Well, the Bakersfield Condors are honoring local veterans with a special match dedicated to them and an opportunity to send one of them to the nation's capital. The Condors have entered a competition with their rivals, the Stockton Heat, for whichever team can get more veterans to attend Military Appreciation Night on Saturday, November 13th. If Bakersfield brings more veterans, Stockton will foot the bill to send one of them on an upcoming Kern County honor flight trip to Washington, D.C. To help out, you can sponsor veterans and their families, getting them tickets, game jerseys, signed memorabilia, and more. We've placed a link to the Seats for Soldiers program on our website, kget.com. Just click on the hot link icon.
5:09 is your time now. Meantime, local organizations are teaming up for a Veterans Resource Fair this weekend. Bristol Hospice, along with Bakersfield Vet Center and Portrait of a Warrior Gallery, are offering vets the chance to meet with businesses and nonprofits dedicated to providing services, support, and jobs. It's happening Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 at the Portrait of a Warrior Gallery on I Street. That same day, a veteran and first responder blood drive is also being held at Houchin Blood Bank on Truxton Avenue. Those who donate will receive a raffle ticket for the resource fair.
5:09 is our time now, and a local World War II veteran is turning 106 years young later this week, and you can help her celebrate this big milestone.
The community is invited to help Betty Petrie celebrate her 106th birthday with a birthday parade this Friday. Staging begins at 5:15 p.m. at the northeast corner of Callaway Drive and Stockdale Highway, with the parade beginning at 5:45 p.m. According to friends of Petrie, she will not reveal the top secret information she handled during the war.
Wow, very impressive.
Very interesting. Recapping our top stories this Wednesday morning, parents in the Panama Buena Vista Union School District made their frustrations heard once again last night over the state's impending vaccine mandate for students. Parents asked board members to consider providing an alternative for students who don't want the vaccine. The mandate is anticipated to go into effect next year. At the same meeting, board members motioned to expel 2 students who made threats toward other students and staff on social media. You may remember earlier this month when police arrested 2 teens in connection with threats made against Thompson and Tevis Junior High schools. The issue was discussed in closed session. No other information available. 2 men who were pulled over with a dead body in the front passenger seat are scheduled to be sentenced for murder today. The killing happened back in January of 2018. Prosecutors allege that Adam Barnes and Manpreet Sindhu killed a man from North Hollywood to collect his life insurance. Both face 25 years to life in prison.
5:34 is our time now, and COVID vaccinations for young children seems to be on its way. Yesterday, an FDA panel unanimously voted to recommend the Pfizer vaccine for children 5 to 11.
The decision could mean emergency use authorization is less than a week away. 17's Chris Burton joins us in studio now with more. Chris?
Well, Maddie, this news does not come as a surprise. The recommendation was an expected step in the authorization of this vaccine for young children, but it does allow the whole process to move forward.
Tuesday's panel of experts voted 17 to none, all moving to recommend the FDA okay administration of a vaccine dose designed specifically for 5 to 11-year-olds. The panel was asked to weigh the individual and society-wide benefits of vaccinating this age group against the risk of complications from the vaccine itself.
It is pretty clear to me that the benefits do outweigh the risk.
Among these risks, the panel discussed myocarditis, an infection of the heart wall causing many to worry about the vaccine. Experts explained it's much more dangerous to get COVID than to get the vaccine.
It actually causes myocarditis at far higher rates than what we see with vaccination.
This authorization comes as COVID brings a new concern to public health experts in Kern County. Multisystem inflammatory syndrome, or MIS-C, is a condition linked to COVID in which multiple organs, including the heart, lungs, and intestines, become severely inflamed, and it's happening in young children.
What we've been seeing is that in young children, that COVID sometimes results in a child getting MIS-C. Specifically in Kern County, we've had 21 cases of MIS-C, and 57% of those cases had to have the child be in the ICU. Hospitalizations in these cases range anywhere from days to a number of months. It's a very severe illness.
Kern County Public Health says to their knowledge, no one has died from MIS-C locally, but 21 children across California have died from the condition. A total of 138 children have been hospitalized for COVID infections in Kern, with 107 of those cases between the ages of 5 and 18.
Again, yesterday's decision was not an authorization of the vaccine. Now, the FDA does tend to follow the recommendations of advisory panels like this, but they are a few days out from an official decision. In studio, Chris Burton, 17 News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.